Hi everyone, so today we're going to look at planning a cycling route. So before we jump into the specifics, let's have a look at some of the basics of planning that route first and foremost. Number one for me on that list of basics is making sure that you are prepared, okay? So bringing out a tube, a puncture repair kit perhaps, tyre levers, a pump and a multi-tool is a really crucial part of preparing for any bike ride. Along with that, it's a really good idea to bring out a phone with you, just in case of emergency, and perhaps checking that new route to make sure you're on the right track. And also making sure you have a bottle with some water in it, just to sip on if you get thirsty, and likewise maybe a snack in the back pocket, especially if you're challenging yourself with further distances. On the note of further distances, make sure the route is suitable to your ability level. What do I mean by that one? So when I say ability level, if you guys have been doing 10 to 20 kilometer bike rides routinely over the last few months, then that's probably just below your ability level at the moment. So what we don't want to do is go straight into perhaps a 50 or 60 kilometer bike ride. We want to aim for somewhere in the middle. And we can apply the same logic as well to maybe hillier terrain. So if you've been riding flat roads and you want to do a hilly spin, maybe opt for some short hills first before progressing into the longer stuff. On top of that then guys, we want to make sure that we check the weather, okay? So this is a really important one. Having a quick check of the weather app on your phone, or maybe watching the weather the evening before your bike ride, just so you don't run into any nasty surprises out on the road itself. On top of that, we want to make sure we know the roads, okay? So I don't mean knowing every inch part and you know, length and breadth of the roads around the country. I just mean on your route, knowing if it's a national road, a regional road, a local road perhaps, knowing if there's bike lanes, knowing if there is perhaps a greenway available in your local area, which might suit the beginner a little bit more. We will run into some tips and tricks on how to actually look at these roads later on in our more kind of technical advanced section, I suppose we could call it, of this video. On top of that then, making sure that you don't run into any hurdles in terms of lighting. So if you were commuting to work, for example, and you're riding into work in the morning when it's nice and bright, you might not need a light on your bike. But when you're riding home and the evenings are getting darker, you'll definitely need that light, okay? So being prepared in that vein is also very important. A final part to note on in the kind of basics of planning our routes is just making sure you might have an opt-out route. So like we were saying about the ability level, if you want to challenge yourself a little bit more, or if the weather is a little bit changeable as it sometimes is during the winter in Ireland, it might be a better idea to ride a loop. So if you think about a loop, it will give you plenty of options to opt out of a ride. So if you plan a 50 kilometer loop and you get maybe halfway into the outward leg, you may be able to just cut across and reduce that distance by 10 or 20 kilometers, meaning you might get home in the dry, or you know, if you run into any mechanical problems and you need to get home a little bit quicker, that might also be an option. Now there are some online apps which may help you in your route planning. I suppose options include applications like Map My Ride, Komoot, Strava and Ride with GPS, among many others, okay? Some of these are free, some of these are paid for versions, but a lot of them by and large have similar functionality. For the purpose of this video, I am going to run through how we could plan a route and maybe look at some of these basic steps and how they're implemented in the online space on Map My Ride. So, once we've navigated onto mapmyride.com and logged in, what you're going to see is a couple of tabs up here on the very top. What we're interested in here is the Routes tab, namely this Creating a Route and My Routes tab, although I would definitely encourage you guys to explore the other options available on this website. So when we're in this Routes tab, what we'll want to do is go into Create a Route. This will bring us onto a kind of mapping and planning side of the application. We will have a quick look at our map. If your location is enabled, it will bring you to where you are at the moment. So you guys can see I am in the town of Clonmel. With this then we can select a start point. So what I'm going to do is select my start point to start in the very center of Clonmel here, as labelled by this little star on the map. If you guys want to start a local coffee shop or even your home address, you can just simply click where that is on the map for you. You can see on the map itself there's lots of options on the right hand side with undo, out and back, kind of clear your map to start again. We can see our distance. We can see different types of maps, so perhaps we want to look at satellite map and where in fact the road kind of winds through, or look at just the plain kind of map itself. We have our zooming in and out options, and we also have street view. Street view is really helpful if you want to see if there's a bike path on a road you've never been on before, and likewise. So what I'm going to do for my route here in Clonmel is plan it on the River Shore Blueway, a really nice amenity in town here, and very nice kind of segregated cycling and walking area. So simply by clicking along this little pathway here, you can see the cumulative distance coming up on the right hand side. So all the way out, perhaps 8 kilometers. I think that's kind of good for me in terms of the outward leg. And let's go for an out and back option. So you can see it automatically brings me back in the way I came. And I know that that is 16 kilometers. With that then, we want to bring back over our panel on the left hand side here and name. So I'm going to name this River Shore Blueway. Choose an activity. We'll say a bike ride. Also an option to send to your phone. So if you guys have the app on your phone, you can do that. And I'm going to save the route. So once we save the route, you can see it brings us to this overview panel, which is really helpful for looking at if the route is suitable for our ability levels, as we discussed earlier in the video. And what do I mean by that? So we can naturally see the distance, which is great, and the elevation gain here. So a nice flat route for me, which I'm very happy with. And I think that's going to be along the lines of my ability level. So if you guys wanted to go longer, you can effectively just click a few more steps along a route such as this and follow the steps accordingly. If you guys have a few routes that you want to look over, you can again navigate to the routes tab and you can go into my routes. So in my routes, we can see routes that I have planned previously with a nice breakdown of date that they were created and distance, elevation, the name of the routes, and a couple of more options as well. So if you have a bank of routes that you like to kind of pick and choose from, you may be able to create them all in Map My Ride and scan down through them to see what takes your fancy on any given day. A really good point to remember, guys, as well, is you don't necessarily need an application or a web-based platform to plan these routes. Sometimes a map might just be as handy. Sometimes it might be a great idea to head down to your local bike shop and maybe ask them where the best routes for cycling are in your local area. You never know what they might say. Likewise, you could link up with a local cycling club, or maybe just pop them an email or give someone in that club a ring and ask them where's best for a local bike ride. So I hope you enjoyed this quick video on how to plan your route. I'm off to explore my local roads. Hope to see you out there.